When three bullies cornered Kareem behind the gym, they expected fear. Instead was a whirlwind of strength and determination. In seconds, one was on the ground, and the others quickly learned what it meant to mess with the wrong kid. People barely noticed when Kareem Tolliver stepped through the front doors of Millstone High in Lansing, Michigan. No big welcome, no whispers of curiosity, just another transfer student halfway through the semester. His backpack was worn, his hoodie faded, and he walked with a careful kind of quiet, like someone who'd learned to read the room before ever speaking in it. The bell rang sharp through the halls, and Kareem paused at his locker, scanning the throngs of students rushing past. He wasn't scared, he simply knew the routine: find your classes, avoid making waves, keep to yourself. Inside the first period math class, a few students glanced over when he walked in. A girl in the corner whispered something behind her hand. The teacher smiled and motioned toward an empty desk near the back. Kareem had no intention of drawing attention, and silence lingered comfortably around him. In Detroit, where he had come from, silence often meant safety. He didn't wear flashy clothes, he didn't show off on purpose. His uncle called it a moving invisible, is something you learned in neighborhoods where attention could get you jumped or worse. Millstone High wasn't Detroit. It was polished. The kids wore name-brand everything. Their haircuts looked like appointments. They laughed loudly and moved like they owned the floor. No one outright insulted Kareem, but he felt the way some looked at his shoes, how a kid in gym glanced at his second-hand hoodie like it had stains on it. He ate lunch alone on the third day, at a table near the back of the cafeteria with a simple tray of spaghetti, a banana, and chocolate milk. As he chewed slowly, watching and listening, he heard the laughter erupt across the room. "Yo, what is that? Did you bring that from home or something?" Kareem looked up to see a tall white boy in a varsity jacket smirking. Brock Simmons, football co-captain, star tight end, and self-declared king of the junior class, stood a few feet away with two friends flanking him, both grinning like they were in on a private joke. Kareem didn't want trouble. Not now. The laughter didn't stop there. Throughout the day, Brock and his friends continued finding ways to belittle him. When someone shoved his books off the desk in science class, no one claimed it, nor did the teacher notice. After school, a charity case was written in dry erase marker across his locker, easy to wipe off, but it left a mark. That evening, Kareem took the number 12 bus to his uncle's gym behind a tire shop. Inside, the pungent smell of sweat and leather hit him before the bell above the door chimed. Uncle Reggie looked up, wrapping someone's hands. "You all right?" Reggie asked. "Just school," Kareem muttered. Reggie didn't press. He nodded and gestured to the mats. "Let it out. That's what they are for." Kareem changed into his gear and hit the pads, focusing on the rhythm of his movements, the hooks, counters, and pivots. He didn't need to brag about what he could do, he just needed to remember who taught him to never let anger lead. But a moment in the cafeteria set off a chain reaction Kareem never meant to pull. Kareem thought the cafeteria moment should have faded into obscurity, a dumb joke, a quick jab, something everyone would forget by the next period. But for Brock Simmons, it wasn't about the joke, it was about the reaction, or the lack of one. Kareem hadn't flinched. He hadn't looked scared. He simply walked away. That feeling of being invisible suddenly changed, now he was marked. By Friday, his name was bouncing around in hushed tones in the locker rooms. "It's like he's got an attitude," one of the jocks said. He doesn't talk. Just stares." In gym class, Kareem got paired with Brock for basketball drills. The coach barked out instructions, and when Brock tossed the ball at Kareem's chest a little too hard, he took it, barely blinking. "Come on, Tolliver. Show me what you got," Brock said, pretending to be casual. As they passed, Kareem returned the ball firmly. It echoed as it hit Brock's chest, catching him by surprise. A few boys snickered. "Dang," one murmured. Brock's smile tightened, and the petty remarks began circulating. The hallway buzzed with rumors that Kareem had a record from his old school, that he'd fought a teacher in 8th grade. By the time Friday arrived, Brock decided he didn't like Kareem at all. He cornered him after sixth period, waiting outside the gym as Kareem walked toward the back parking lot, headphones in. "Yo, Tolliver," Brock called, stepping forward, "you think you're tough?" "No," Kareem replied, pulling out an earbud. "I act like I want to be left alone." Brock took a step closer. "You don't get to choose that." Kareem's shoulders tensed. "You done?" "Not yet." When the bell rang, the hallway erupted with noise, but this moment was suspended in time. Brock lunged, aiming a wild punch, but Kareem slipped under it, pivoted, and dropped his elbow into Brock's ribs, sending him staggering. That moment lasted barely 12 seconds. Logan was on the ground, and that was the fastest turn of events anyone could fathom. When Kareem stood over Brock, breathing steady, he didn't gloat. He just waited. What the hell?" Brock gasped as he staggered to his feet, and Logan sat against the dumpster, eyes wide. Ty had his hands up like he'd just watched a car flip. Mr. Langford, the assistant principal, rounded the corner just in time. "What's going on here?" Brock scrambled to his feet. He jumped us." Kareem frowned. "Are you serious?" "I didn't do anything, man." "He's lying." Langford's eyes flicked from one boy to the next, assessing the scene. There was no blood, no black eyes, just the unmistakable tension. Kareem's heart raced, but something felt oddly calm inside him. He watched Brock's face, a mixture of panic and fury etched there as they were led to the office. Inside, Langford stared at Kareem long and hard. "I want to tell me what happened." Kareem recounted it clearly and calmly. Langford listened intently, then leaned back in his chair. "Do you know we have a zero-tolerance policy, right?" "I didn't start it," Kareem replied. Langford sighed. "It doesn't matter who starts it. What matters is who finishes it." Kareem didn't respond, just stared out the window. Look," Langford said, rubbing his brow, "you have to understand the gravity of the situation." Maybe you should talk to the ones who didn't try to stop it," Kareem said, his voice steady. Langford blinked, taken aback. The tension hung thick in the air until a teacher arrived, and Kareem left that office not as a hero, but as a kid caught in the crossfire. By Monday, everyone knew about the fight behind the gym. Whispers filled the hallways, and Kareem could feel the shift. He wasn't the quiet kid anymore, he was something else, something to watch. In first period, the guy who used to sit behind him moved to another seat. Lunchtime lost its usual rhythm. No one made jokes, and silence lingered like a thick fog. When he entered the cafeteria, eyes darted away, avoiding him like he carried a contagion. "I've heard it all," Brock retold the fight, spinning it like he was the victim. "A dude's psycho. He came at us like we were in a movie." In gym class, Coach Rawlins instructed Kareem to shadow drills, sidelining him from actually participating. He felt the weight of isolation grow heavier. The following day, Kareem decided to take a different route home, cutting through alleys. He needed time, space, a moment to think. When he arrived back at his uncle's, Reggie was perched on the couch, watching a UFC fight replay. "A rough day?" Reggie asked. People act different now," Kareem said, the weight of it resting on his shoulders. "They see strength and they get scared." "It's like they've been blinded by it," Reggie observed. Kareem nodded. "Are they as scared of what they don't know about me?" Exactly," Reggie said. "But you need to remember why you're there. You're not there to teach anyone a lesson, you're there to graduate." Kareem sighed, the tension in his jaw tightening. But then something unexpected happened. A blurry photo of the fight appeared on social media, and suddenly it wasn't just Kareem's story anymore. By Wednesday, a formal hearing was scheduled at the district office, where Kareem would need to appear with a guardian. Uncle Reggie took the day off to accompany him, and they entered a plain conference room filled with school administrators and a board member. Mr. Langford's voice filled the silence. "We have received several concerns regarding Kareem and need to determine whether he poses an ongoing safety threat to the student body." Reggie leaned forward, ready to defend his nephew. Kareem is not a threat. He trained in self-defense. He didn't look for a fight, he tried to walk away. The board members exchanged glances, scribbling notes. Meanwhile, a new voice broke through the noise, the quiet girl from Kareem's classes, Delaney Foster. I saw everything behind the gym. They cornered him, he didn't attack first. Kareem turned toward her, surprised. She continued, voice shaky but strong, I was there, sketching. If they expel him, I'll feel guilty for not speaking up sooner. With Delaney's support, the mood in the room shifted again. The board had no choice but to consider her first-hand account. They dismissed the room after more discussion, and Kareem and Reggie stepped into the parking lot. You did well, Reggie said, a proud nod. Kareem felt a flicker of hope. I didn't want to be dragged into this. But back at school, things were still tense. There were fewer whispers, and Brock had changed sides, tension hung between them now. At lunch that Friday, Delaney sat across from him. I told them about you, as she said abruptly, the corners of her mouth twitching upward. Kareem grinned slightly. Eventually, he found himself standing on the stage for the student assembly. The microphone felt heavy in his hands, and the gym was loud with chatter until it fell silent. I'm not here to fight anyone anymore, he started, looking around the room. I didn't ask to be here, but I'm not going anywhere. With every word, courage built inside him. If the only story you know about me is the one someone else told, then you never knew me at all. The kids shifted in their seats, tension palpable. The truth hung before them, unfiltered and raw. When he was finished, silence lingered like a shadow before the applause erupted, initially hesitant, but soon filled with genuine appreciation. That day, something cracked open at Millstone High. Little changes rippled outwards, from students standing up for each other to the teachers fostering an environment that allowed every voice to emerge. In time, Kareem learned to navigate this evolving world, not through confrontation, but through understanding and strength. And as he walked through the hallways, no longer the quiet boy avoiding attention, he stepped forward as someone who belonged. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones where you're forced to prove you belong, and by standing tall, Kareem knew he had won that fight.